I'd like to welcome everybody to the King of the Hill podcast. King of the Hill podcast, season 2, episode 1. And if you're listening for the first time, we actually have a special treat in the building. For some of you that are, listeners and do listen in from time to time, I know, forgive me for my videos. We're trying to do a better effort, but we have the man, the myth, the legend, the wizard king, Zico Bellis.
Yeah. The one and only. Don't forget it.
He said, "Don't forget it." How you doing, man? How you been, man? It's been a while. I mean, we haven't recorded an episode in a year almost.
Has it been?
I think it's been a minute. It's been a long time.
Wow. How long you been in this new spot?
About 3 months. Guys, I'll drop a video coming in the future about some life updates. That's kind of telling you guys why I've kind of been out the game for a while. But yeah, I've been in this spot since about December.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've been here for a little bit.
Yeah, so it's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
I'm glad we back. We were able to do it, man.
Yeah, obviously, and how you feeling, man? How's the Wizard King podcast going? How's everything?
Wizard King is going. It's I've been putting a little bit more than you, but it's difficult just because life. I'm an engineer. I work full time.
Yeah,
like I'm on salary, so it's not like I have a specific...
Yeah, you don't got time, bro. If you work and you work it, you work till they tell you to stop.
Exactly.
You work till the job's done.
Exactly, bro. That's why we're meeting this late, brother.
Yeah.
But so it's I gotta stay on the mic.
Yeah. This has been a while, huh?
Yeah, it's been a while. But so got 4 kids, you know how it is. Well,
yeah, I know. Not yet. Right? I don't know. See, I ain't that far gone yet, just subscribers.
Right.
But let's hop into it, man. I really appreciate you coming on. I know you want to kind of touch on the topic of Pride Month.
Mm-hmm.
So initially when you think of the word Pride Month, what do you think of? Because obviously, I mean, did this month start like 5-6 years ago? Or?
Yeah, it's been very recent. I know, I feel like one of the big tragedies that happened a few years ago, actually, probably 2016, was the shooting down there in Orlando, downtown. At
the Pulse.
That club down the street on Orange. So, yeah, it was around. I know that was like one of the big catalysts because I remember that, they hanged the big sign on the bridge. Yeah. And I thought it was sad. That was, man, heartbreaking. But yeah, it's been a few years. It's an interesting time right now.
It's an interesting time.
It's an interesting time.
It's just like I feel like we started with ever since the Pulse shooting was like the catalyst, and now there's just like we're in this world today where it's just like I don't know. There's just a lot going on. There's a lot going on. And it's just like we're kind of here today, kind of talking about kind of the different points, kind of different points of why, like how the Pulse shooting kind of affected. The world it is today, or at least changed it. You know what I mean? Especially for like Christianity.
Yeah.
Have you been seeing like a lot of these pastors and a lot of these YouTube videos, a lot of these things going viral of like pastors just coming out and be like, if you're gay, it's all right. You're fine. Have you even seen that?
Yeah, I think here's my thing with that. I've even heard of pastors wearing heels. Look,
really?
Yeah, men. By the way, it's interesting. Okay, so there's something that's happened. There's something called sentimentality, right?
Yeah.
And that's a great thing. I think that God allows us to have for a reason. It helps us to care for one another. It helps us to give compassion, and But I think what happened, why Christians or at least Christendom, people that call themselves Christian, why they're going. Not everybody's doing it, but it's either what extreme you'll find those with everybody's all right, or you'll find the other extreme like if you're gay, you need to
yeah. It's like either or. Yeah.
And so I mean, there's a very minute, like small group of people that's in between, but that's how it always is right now. Especially people slide to one of the extremes. Anyway, I think this is the issue was the way Christians or people just in general, even people that wasn't Christians, just dealt with homosexuality and all that in the past.
Yeah.
not saying we're better off from them because we're no different. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
we're no different.
Yeah, but like I think people are like, man, okay, that wasn't great because you hear about the stories of people that does deal with homosexuality or who deals with those desires themselves.
Yeah.
Harming themselves, feeling ostracized and all this stuff.
Yeah, it was a really, I can't agree. There was a really dark place for that like 20 years ago. Like you couldn't even talk about it, you know, like, and if you're open about it, then like you're like the scum of the earth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like I'm not lowering my effect, but at the end of the day, it is a sin. You know what I'm saying? It is a sin.
And that's what I'm trying to get to. Like, because people will bring up, it's been around all the time. Yes. It's thousands of years, bro. Yeah. You go back all the way to Sodom and Gomorrah. Like, these guys were wild, brother. God. Like, hey, give me those men. And we're talking about the story of Lot, but when the two angels visit him, and these guys was like, hey, man, we want them. Lot was like, no, like, take my daughter.
Take my daughter.
Wild, bro. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing. It's been around for a while. I think just because it's been around for a while, it's been around as murder's been around probably a little bit longer. I mean, based on what we have in written writing, right? Yeah. Doesn't make murder okay. Like, I hope we never get to a place where we're glorifying murder, you know? Though, you know, some videos of some politicians laughing at people dying.
It's crazy. Yeah.
But anywho, regardless, that's a side point. Just because it's been around for a while doesn't mean that if you want to follow God, doesn't mean that if you want to be a person who follows God, the God of the Bible, that it's okay. Yeah. Right? Like that sin is fine. Yeah. Because of the sentimentality we have for those people. Yeah. You know?
Especially in society today. Like, because you gotta think about like, you know, when we talk about the sins of this world and the sins that are accepted that aren't accepted, you know, sins that are accepted today, sex outside of marriage, cursing, alcoholism, you know, homosexuality. Like there's a lot of sins that are quote unquote acceptable today in society. But it's just like when you look at it, what God wants for us, you know, God's against all of it. Right. You know what I mean? So the same way that people want to get drunk on the weekend is homosexuality is in that same bucket. Right. You know what I mean? It's just like, but it's just like the way that the world works today, you know, it's just like, it's what's popular, right? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's just like, what's the most popular thing right now? This sin is just more popular than the others. Right. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, God looks at it the same. Right. But you can look at it as, okay, you know, it always talks about the sins of your body being more effective sins to us because it hurts us spiritually. The consequences. Go there. You know what I mean? The consequences. That's where people you know, I'm stuck in this pattern of sin, but it's just like, okay, well, homosexuality is a sin as well, and it's a sin against your body. So, you know, the consequences of that sin is going to affect you more than a sin of you just cursing or cheating or things like that.
100%. Yeah, man. Like, literally, you went the exact direction I wanted to go in. The consequences, right? Every sin has its consequences. Doesn't mean just because right now in the culture it's a popular sin, right? Like you just literally just said, doesn't mean it's okay. I think also there's you hit on it. It started with people accepting sex outside of marriage or accepting couples living together outside of marriage in the church, right? Yeah. And only because it's like, well, this is the norm. And look, first of all, just I understand that. I lived like that. That's the way I lived before I became a Christian. Like, that's the way me and my wife now, we wasn't married and we lived together. Yeah. For a year. It was a year and then it was rough. So we went through some rough patches, but then we became Christians. Yeah. And then we got married and then we moved back in together, right?
So wait, my question to that is, right, you're talking about, you know, marriage, you know, but think about even the Bible itself, right? Mm-hmm. Is there really a good example of a marriage in the Bible? Think about that.
That's a great question.
You know what I mean? Because like there's scriptures on how we should live, but there's never really an example for us as believers to follow. You know, you gotta think about this. Like people like King Solomon, all these thousands of wives, David, you know, with Bathsheba. Mm-hmm. You know, it's almost as if obviously, you know, even Adam and Eve. You know, there's no good example. Mm-hmm. You know, Ananias and Sapphira. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like what example do we have of a marriage in the Bible? Right. You know, like, because, that it actually worked.
Imitatable.
You know, there's probably, if you guys find one, I mean, like, obviously hit me up and let me know, but even in Songs of Solomon, this thing, okay, yeah, there's scriptures that, tell us how to live, but who actually did it right?
Right. I don't know if it doesn't go into detail, but I think of that couple, that married couple that worked close to Paul. He mentioned them a lot in Acts.
Was it Ananias and Sapphira?
Well, that's the one that lied about.
The one that they got rebaptized.
Yeah, exactly. And they really went after. They were tent makers as well.
Yeah.
I literally was just reading about them.
Yeah. It's
I can't think of it at the moment.
Man, you should Google it.
Yeah.
But the thing about that is, that was a couple that worked together to build God's ministry.
Right.
And they were together as a couple, right? But there's not really I don't know if it's just because the woman's role. There's probably because the woman's role back then, So probably a lot of them were married, but. The woman's role, since it was diminished in a sense, I feel like it wasn't it just wasn't talked about.
Right. So, and that's something that the Bible, that's a whole nother discussion, but about women's role and how the Bible, if you look at it, if you guys really look at it, if you really want to learn women empowerment, the Bible is the best place to go because Jesus really pushed for that. And Paul pushed for that as well.
Yeah.
But, Priscilla and Aquila.
Yeah,
see? Priscilla and Aquila. Yeah, Google. But yeah. So they work together to help push the message of the good news to build God's kingdom, which is great.
But did the Bible say they were married?
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah. So, but it's interesting, man, because marriage, a family member actually asked me.
And then, not to cut you off, but even in heaven, it says there's no marriage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So just how much, I don't know, how much of an effect does it really have?
It still has a powerful effect because if you look at the way God looks at our relationship with Him, it's as a husband and wife, right? And it's a little weird to be honest.
Why? But like you're saying, why have analogies but not examples?
No, I understand.
You see what I'm saying? When Jesus walked the earth, He was the example. Hey, this is how we live. Paul, the sacrifices He did. This is how you live. David, we have all these great men of God, you know what I'm saying, quote unquote. And if you're gonna live as a man of God, you're gonna research David, you're gonna look at Jesus' life. You know what I mean? But if you want to have a great marriage, all we really have is scriptures about it. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? And then we kind of just make up our own analogies. We go to Ephesians 5. And then we just kind of fill up the rest. You know what I mean? And
that's been misinterpreted by so much people.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. You look at a scripture like Ephesians 5, okay, this is the example of what a marriage is. But then it's just there's so much in between of how we interpret that. You know what I mean? It's you can't base your marriage off assumptions. You know what I mean? Where is the physical evidence, the physical facts of hey, if I want to live a marriage, okay, let's go in the Bible. Let's go to Priscilla and Aquila's story. How did they get married? How did they live their life? Aquila's praying with his wife. You know what I mean? We don't have those in the Bible. So when we living today in society, it kind of, I'm not making excuses for society today, but it's just we never really had a great example of the marriage. You know what I mean? So that's why when people are living together and they're doing all these different things, obviously, back in the day, they probably had their vow to God, but you can't almost not blame them.
Right. No, I understand. It's funny. I just thought about this. Just like Paul in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, the sermon on Sunday, I remember he said, hey, they didn't mention Paul's weakness so that we can relate to that and understand that even though our weakness might have not been the same, but this scripture still applies to us, that through our weakness, God's power
can be displayed. Yeah, it can be displayed.
And then that's our strength, right? Because now His power is perfect. I think in the same way, just like it just gives us scriptures on marriage and how God views our relationship with Him. He's the head, and just like we're the head to our wives. We're both married, by the way.
Yeah, we're both married. They're probably thinking, this guy Steven's wild. And I'm just being honest. I don't got many examples. I mean, I got scriptures that are assumed by men.
But you said it, and this is what I wanted to say. You said it hey, it's so everybody's different. Every couple's different, and so trying to take one assumption based on the scripture, you use Ephesians 5. And apply it to every couple won't work.
It won't work.
It doesn't work.
Right? Yeah.
But But there's a reason why, and I think because we're all so different, and our wives, even though women and men, like men, there's general similarities between us, right? There's general similarities between women, but the way we apply love and learn love, we have to learn it from each other. Yeah. So the Bible just gives us the guidelines on that, and then we have to fight. We gotta not fight with each other, but we gotta fight to learn it from the other person because we're all so different. So it didn't give us specific. That's true.
You know what I'm saying? That's a good take.
I think that's why. But this is, you look at these things. I'm like, marriage, bro. The importance of marriage, bro. Like it's crazy. Paul talked about it. Hey, if you don't need to be married, don't marry.
Yeah.
But if you have a burning desire, it's homosexual.
Yeah.
You should probably get married, right? You should probably get married.
I get what you're saying. And I do like the take of like, I mean, every marriage is different. Every couple is different. So there's that freedom in there. You know what I mean? But it's just like, okay, you can say that. But then it's like, you think of Jesus, there wasn't too much freedom. It's just like, hey, like, I mean, obviously there's freedom in Christ. Like, this is the way we live. This is the way we don't live. Jesus was very black and white. You know what I mean? So if like for marriage, why do you think there's just, I mean, obviously, we're going a little deep with marriage, but, but for you, for marriage, why do you think there's so much, I guess, freedom? You think it's just based off the differences of every marriage or?
I think basically when you look at each couple and each person's temperament, what we go through early in life that we bring into the relationship, if there was a specific way to do it, it probably wouldn't. People wouldn't be able to relate to it.
Wouldn't work for everybody.
That doesn't work for me. Yeah. But then because we're given the freedom with certain guidelines, like, hey, you shouldn't have sex before marriage. That wouldn't help with anything, right? Like you probably shouldn't remain. Ephesians 6 talks about. I was repeating it all day this
guy don't know. This guy don't know none of his scriptures, bro. He don't know none of his scriptures, bro.
Ephesians 4 verse 32, I think, or something like 28. I don't know. Yeah, but just remaining pure.
Yeah,
or I can't remember. Anywho,
he don't know, guys.
I can't remember.
He making up stuff.
Yeah,
he going back to Google, guys. But I like what you're saying because every marriage is different. Right. Everybody's gonna live a different way. Everybody's gonna be attracted to different things. So, like I said, everybody's gonna call themselves a Christian, but everybody's gonna have different battles.
Right.
So like I may struggle with this, you may struggle with this. The same with our marriages. My marriage may struggle with one thing while yours is another.
Right.
You know what I mean? But my biggest thing is, why isn't there like many examples of like, I don't know, like all the great men in the Bible, none of them had a successful marriage. I don't even think. That's a crazy take.
Yeah, I mean
that's a crazy take. But I'm just saying, like, come on now, like.
It's not talked about. Not Paul, but Peter's marriage is not talked about.
It's none of them. I mean, did they just give them up for the gospel and just leave off to different countries and leave their wives at home with the kids? Like,
I don't think so.
But it's just like all these great men of God. Like,
that's
did they?
Not true though.
Okay,
I'll tell you that one.
Okay,
because remember, Jesus lifted up women. You look at the way he treated Mary Magdalene.
He treated them great.
Right.
Jesus wasn't married though.
Well, what I'm saying is, if you look at the way he led, he's the head of the ministry. Right?
Yeah.
There's no way that he would have allowed that, because remember he came in and we changed divorce.
Yeah.
The way they were thinking about divorce, right? He came in and changed the way about forgiveness. He came in and changed the way we look at women, right? Because they've always been second in society, right?
Yeah.
Especially at that time.
Yeah.
They were second. And so Jesus was like, no, we need them, right? We're going to walk hand in hand.
Yeah.
Paul came in and did the same thing. He imitated that. And he was like, hey, he worked with Priscilla and Aquila. He worked with the two sisters. Remember he called the two sisters I was arguing? Come on, guys. Y'all work with me, man. I got to reconcile, Yeah. So there is a trend of where there wasn't this, leaving the women.
Oh, I think I got the good marriage in the Bible. Was it Sarah or someone that called her husband his Lord?
Oh, Abraham.
Yeah. See that? I think that right there. But you got to think about that. That is span on the woman's perspective. So when women think of their marriage, they go to her.
Right.
But when guys think of marriage, who do they go to? You see what I'm saying? We just go off our strength and our love for God. But a woman can be like, they're struggling in a marriage. They can go to that scripture and like, wow, like, what was it? Sarah?
Respect.
Yeah, look at the respect.
Yeah,
he called her husband his Lord.
Right.
I don't think any woman today gonna call her husband their Lord.
Yeah,
but the woman, they a figure to look at.
Right.
But the men, like, who do we have? David and Bathsheba? Like, that's the only story we go to.
That's a rough one.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Boy, you could have used a different one.
I mean, who else is there to go to? That's all we go to. You know what I mean? So it's just like, that's the thing.
It's rough.
I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but we're really deep in it.
We're walking down the ladder.
Yeah, I mean, we can go back up to Pride Month, but I'm just saying, like, everybody wants to do what they want.
Yeah,
what I mean. So that's why we have, we have gay marriage and same sex marriage, and we have what's the thing when you get married and you have a contract?
Prenup.
Prenup. We have prenups. Yeah. We have all these different things because. I mean, it almost sounds like I'm blaming God a little bit, but I'm not. But it's just like, everybody wants to do marriage their own way.
Yeah.
And it's just like we can't.
Yeah, it's I mean, this world, at the end of the day, it all comes down to sin and what we desire. What we desire is what we're gonna do. There's people in polygamous type relationships. I don't know if I said that word correctly.
Isn't it like one guy, 2 girls, or one guy, 3 girls,
or
and
one girl and 3 guys?
Yeah, one girl and 3 guys.
Polyamorous?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I know a regular marriage. It's funny. I forgot what culture it was. I think it was. I forgot what marriage. I thought it was, but multiple times I have multiple wives. I forgot.
Is that a culture?
Yeah, it was a religion.
Is that because I know when we went to Dubai, that's the thing. Like those, but in that you have to. If you buy one wife a house, you gotta be able to buy the other. Yeah. So it's like
you gotta provide.
The same thing you provide to one wife, you gotta be able to provide to the other wife. So I like that, even though in the culture is like
he said you like that. What you mean you like? What you mean you like that?
I like the fact that they're not gonna allow you to treat one wife.
Yeah, let's go back to Pride Month. All right, let's go. Okay, so on the same. Okay, let's go back to Pride Month. Right. It's funny because one time I was getting my tires done on my car, and I met this guy, and I was telling him I was trying to invite him out to church, and he was all like, "Oh man, I don't like church." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Oh, because they're telling people that homosexuality is okay, and they're saying that same sex marriage is okay, and that's not right. I don't like church." I mean, you got to think about it. Like for people that are looking at Christianity on the outside looking in, it's just like I can see why a lot of people are pushed away from it. Because there's a lot of different religions, a lot of different people doing different things. But when you go to these other religions, Hinduism, Buddhism, everybody does the same thing. Mm-hmm. But when we go to Christianity, everybody just does whatever they want. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it's just like, that's why when you get a regular person, like, let me look at this Jesus character. Let me look at Christianity. They go to church and they say, oh, sexual immorality is okay and gay marriage is okay. Like you give a bad stigma for the majority. And I can honestly say the majority, because the more I look at different religions and these different things that they follow, like, there's a lot that's wrong, and obviously I'm not the one to judge, and obviously there's grace, but if Jesus says this is wrong, then it's wrong. There should be there's no room for any error. Right. So when we're talking about gay marriage and things like that, like it's really affected the churches. It has.
I don't know if it's this is my thing. I think we've gotten into the laws like. Jesus himself said when it came to the government, when he's talking about taxes, hey, give God what's God and give to
Caesar.
To Caesar what's Caesar, right? So government and church shouldn't be intertwined in the sense of where one is controlling or providing laws or things for the other.
Yeah.
So I think this whole gay marriage battle thing and stuff, we're too far already. We're arguing about the wrong thing. If this is a Christian nation, right? then okay, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
But if it's not, then the people that decide to be Christian, let's focus on those people that want to be Christian, that may have those desires. Just like I have the desire to, my sin, one of my sins could be, is the desire to go smoke weed, right? Like it talks about in Galatians 5:19 to 22, one of those verses in there.
You don't know none of the verses, bro.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? I don't. But I'll tell you. Matter of fact, I found that verse further. It's Ephesians 5. So I got a hint of sexual immorality.
All right, hints. All right,
yeah.
all right.
So anywho, to come back, you know, come back. But no, but yeah, that's my sin. Like that's one of the sins I have to deny myself of. And it's just like the sexual immorality. The homosexuality. But some people be like, well, why would God make a person like that? Well, why would God make you want to murder somebody?
Yeah.
No, God doesn't make us do anything.
Yeah.
Right? We have these desires from our experiences, from our feelings, and we get to decide whether we entertain it, whether we act on that desire, and then we will pay for the consequences of the action or decision that we make based on the feeling. But we're like the whole argument of gay marriage and this and that. If you look at how the country was built off families, right?
Yeah.
So that's like the whole point of what people like religious or Christian folk are talking about when they go, we shouldn't allow gay marriage.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. It's right. We have been, but the society is not the society we're in right now. Corporations run right now the culture here in the Western world.
So what if you were president?
If I was president, man, this whole idea of trying to control what people do in their lives, Jesus didn't roll. That's not how it worked.
Yeah.
He said, hey, if you want to follow me, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And this is the way I'm going.
Oh,
this
wow.
is the decisions you need to make.
So you just be like, hey, every man for himself.
No, because I want people to be able to trust me.
Yeah.
And so when you're running a society, you gotta work with politicians or stuff.
Yeah, all that. Yeah.
But my goal, it'd be similar to Trump, that the message America first. To be honest,
Yeah.
I would have people that are good at international relations, right? Just to be able to navigate that. But my focus would be on the society here, the culture here, what's going on here in America, and trying to bring people together, and also, but take us to a place where not only are we together, but now we're building for a better future in the sense of education, better jobs, bringing back not technical jobs, but like plumbing and HVAC type thing.
They don't make no money.
They don't make no money, but they're needed right now, bro. There's a great opportunity, in my opinion, for somebody if they want to. There's some companies taking advantage right now of the void that's being created. The void is getting bigger and bigger because we have this push for everybody to go to college.
Tech.
I don't believe in that. I think everybody shouldn't go to college. I think if you want to go to college, you should. I think we should remove all these dumb degrees that mean nothing. Like, let's stick to the sciences and math. And if you like art, you don't need a degree for art. Like,
I got a business degree. What you think?
Well, business is a little different, right? Because business, that's what we need. Small businesses, after families, small businesses help build that the economy.
Yeah,
of
business
America,
economy.
Right?
Yeah.
So we need small businesses.
So
right?
no art degree.
We don't need an art degree, bro. We need art, though, right? I just don't think we need somebody to teach you art.
Hey, if you're a painter at home, don't close this out yet. Let's keep going.
Yeah, no, I think for y'all, man, we live in such a great time where we have access to Google, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, blah, blah, blah. It keeps going on and on. Create art through that.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We need art. We need it, bro. Like that, I love art, bro.
Yeah.
Like, this is why I'm doing podcasts and stuff like that. Like, it's a form of art.
Yeah.
Because it's a way of expressing words and all this stuff. But art is needed, right?
Yeah.
So businesses are needed. I just think so you go to education.
You go. I want to hit on that education part.
Okay.
When you're thinking about you're talking about Pride Month. You've been reading about how they want to incorporate like I don't know, like in the classroom setting, like like I guess like certain bathrooms. Like I think they want to add it like in a middle school. They want to add like a gay bathroom or something. And I think I read like there's a teacher that was like gay or homosexual, and then like the parents were taking their kids out. You know what I mean? So what are your thoughts on like more adolescent stuff, you know, your schooling and everything like that?
Well, it's the same thing that they did in the 70s and 80s, right? When they started infusing Marxist type ideologies in schools, where now if you look at the schools, the way it's divided, most teachers are quote unquote Democrats, right? Most teachers, educators vote left on, they're, and I mean, that's also most educators are women, and women are compassionate people.
Yeah.
And most of liberal or left ideas are compassionate, thinking of others. We need that.
Yeah.
But there definitely needs to be a balance. We go to this. You just made me think of something with all this stuff that's going on with the schools. To answer your question directly, it's all a distraction.
Yeah,
because this stuff, bro. Our government is in trillions
of debt. I think,
bro,
can't you go on Google and there's like a meter of how much we're
it's counting, bro. It's insane, bro. Like, I think about my kids' future. Like, if I want to stay here in America, like,
bro, let's all leave, bro.
Intense.
Let's all dip. Let's all leave and like live in a community off in like UK somewhere,
bro,
and just eat coconuts and just, you know what I mean, and just like all live in like one neighborhood and just
bro. That's how
people
do, bro. That I've thought about it.
Let's just leave, bro.
I'm not, and it's not a thought like, oh, that'd be cool. No, it's
it's a real thought. Yeah. So the other day, I got an email on my phone, and it was like a job in the UK, and I told my wife, "Hey, I applied." Like, I applied. Like, my wife was like, "Apply." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm applying because you know you never know." But the America today, like, it's real bad. Yeah, you know. And plus, I mean, I always want to get away for a few years. So
right. No, it's yeah. So they're going back to the schools and what they're doing in the schools, adolescents. I mean, if you could, the youth is the most moldable, vulnerable, in a sense, when it comes to different ideas. You're able to mold them and have them grow up with certain ideologies, if you'd like. And so, of course, it's smart. It's a smart tactic if you want a certain ideology to stick around. Yeah. Right. But I think ultimately, you know, it's a money grab for corporations as they push, right? And then I also think it's just it's like all connected. So they make it seem it's like all complicated, but it's a money grab and it's a distraction. Yeah. Because the government is able to do what they're doing. They're sending hundreds of billions to other countries of our tax dollars.
Right. Bro, doing what?
Bro, we're getting in deeper in debt. You see this whole debt ceiling thing that just happened? Like, this is chaos. It's chaotic, bro.
It's like stocks are really bad too. Like,
bro. I mean, well, stocks have been steady. They've
been good recently. The last couple of months, they've been pretty good.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but they never were when Trump was in. Remember when Bitcoin was like 50,000 for one?
It was like 60. Bro. I remember when it was 67. Like, it was like
it dropped to like 12 grand.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, what, like, you know, obviously inflation in these things, like, you know, interest rates at like 6%, you know, all that wraps in, but maybe it is just a distraction. Like, but for you, like, what are they just distracting us from? It's like,
I think there's a lot of stuff that they're trying to, I'm sorry for cutting you off.
No, you're good. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of stuff that they're trying to bring in, like things that really matter. So, for instance, I think the government desires more control. Yeah. Right. So there's things that China has incorporated. Like, some people have been talked about social credit scores and social credit scores.
What's a social credit score?
Basically, like, one example would be like, hey, you've hit your limit of meat that you can eat today. What? Because of the carbon imprint that it has on the world and whatever, all this stuff. But it's all a means to control more, to give the government more power. I think, and it's not, I mean, you say government like it's a big thing, but it's just the people. There's certain people.
Do you think America needs that? Because, I mean, even like in China, they don't play that. You know, COVID-19 is like, hey, you get your behind in the house. Exactly. You don't get in the house, you're going to jail for like 6 years. You know what I'm saying? So just like, do you think we might need that, or?
I think, I think of, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Mockingbird series. I don't know if
you're talking about,
the Mockingbird series. Hunger Games. Yeah. The Hunger Games. With Jennifer, what's her name? Is it Jennifer Lawrence? Whatever.
Lopez?
Nah, that's not Lopez. This is Jennifer. So whatever her name is. She was great in it, by the way, but I just can't remember her name. She just had a baby maybe a year ago. Anywho, I think if you look at that movie, we're literally like District 1, whatever the city district was, bro. Like chaos, people wearing crazy hairstyles, and they're controlled by the head guy, right? And the government or the head counseling group, they have all the power, right? And then you have these other districts that are poor as dirt, third world countries. Yeah. And I'm about to sneeze.
Jeez, man, you good, bro?
Yeah. COVID. So anyway,
Chinese should have. See, look at that, bro. I should have mandated you when you walked in that you get sanitizer and all that.
Spray me down.
Spray you down. It should have been mandated, you know. But we need government control, you know.
Hey, man, in your house, you should be able to do whatever you want.
But think about this too. You know what a crazy take is. Inflation, right? That is a sense of government control. You know, you got to think about it. We may, think about it. We may think that, you know, us having 6-7% interest rate is like just because of the economy, but maybe the government's just like, hey, I want to reduce people that are buying homes. Right. I want to reduce people that are buying cars and all these different things, so we can kind of keep people here, keep them in a bubble. Right. You know what I mean? So inflation in itself could be like. You know, you gotta think about it. Like, why is it so high? Why not just drop it? Why not let everybody buy a house? Why not let everybody get whatever car they want? But just like the higher we put the interest rates, the less as humans, the less we're gonna want to be creative with our time and money. Right. You know, the more that we're gonna want to stay in our everyday life of apartments, the same cars. Like we're not gonna have the mindset to go out and buy a dream home if interest rates are 10%. Right, you know what I mean? Kind of like you were saying earlier, quality of life. You know what I mean? You don't want a mortgage that's so much that you can't really enjoy life, travel, and do these different things. Right. But if 100%. The government controls our interest rates to a point where it's like, okay, the regular person can't do this, and a person that's kind of well off, if they're doing it, they're struggling. Right. Only the rich can really enjoy it. You know what I mean? So that right there, that could be government control as well too.
There is So I think one thing just to mention, there is a balance, right, with that stuff. I think, you know, it goes up and down. It's shown over the years. It's been this high before. When my parents bought their home, which is like $50,000, by the way. Yeah. 4-bedroom, 2-bath. Yeah. When they bought their home here in Florida, their interest rates is still they never got refinanced, was 6.5%, right? So it does fluctuate, but I do agree that it is a form of. Ever since we left the standard for the dollar as a standard for our money, or not this dollar, but gold as a standard for our money.
Is that like the 1400s?
No, not that old.
The pirates
we've been only around the 17th. So it was like early 1900s. No,
really?
Yeah,
gold, bro. Come on, man.
No, because Rich Dad Poor Dad in his book, the one thing that his rich dad taught him was that when it happened in their generation, talking about it,
the transition from gold to money.
Now it's oil back.
Yeah, now it's oil. Yeah.
They call it. I forgot what they have a name for it, but anywho, there is a certain game that's being played, and right now America is on the chopping block. I feel like I feel like we're like. All right, they're next. You know what I mean?
So what's your game plan? I mean, you said you got this all figured out.
I do not. I know that me and my wife we've been married 9 years. For the last 7 years, we've been talking about, where are we going?
What's the game plan?
Yeah, where are we going?
Really a Monopoly? Like, I just feel like I'm going to be on top of my roof with them guns, them Gallic guns on. I just be on my roof with a Gallic gun 24/7. It's just like, hey, like,
what's good
like,
now?
What's good? Like, this is my property. You know, I'll probably get a fence around, and that's it. Like, a couple German shepherds, and every man for himself. No, but what I was thinking, what I was thinking was, I really feel like every neighborhood would be its own like democracy.
Yeah, and that type, man, that'd be a. Have you seen what the WHO, what is it, the World Health Organization or something like that?
Yeah, they do.
where they were presenting this idea for people to live in like this tight knit city, where they'd be eating bugs for protein. Yeah, bro, like where everybody's in these small section type cities, and we're all living on top of each other basically. But then, like, it's like a wall around. It's the weirdest thing. You guys could Google it.
Sounds like The Walking Dead or something.
Bro, it's wild. It reminded me of that other show as well. That was on Netflix. The one where they had you was able to transfer bodies, and they was able to transfer your soul to another body. Altered Carbon or something like that.
You be watching that weird stuff, man.
Hey, bro, that show
was you be
fire,
bro. You be on that weird stuff, man.
Bro, that show was
you be
fire,
watching like Godzilla humans and like.
Hey, man, you watched the last Godzilla, bro?
See now, bro. No, I seen it. I seen it on HBO Max. I seen it.
That was good.
It was good.
But yeah, it's it's gonna be something. Whatever they're working towards. My hope is until I move out and find where I'm going.
You don't know where they go.
I still don't know. We've traveled a few. We still haven't found like
you went to Dubai, right?
Yeah. No, actually, that's a lie. I'm glad you just said that. A lot of people have been moving there as well.
Yeah.
Well, not a lot, but I've been noticing it's starting to become a thing. That Dubai is a great place. They have standards. They have a cultural thing. Now, of course, there's like an alcohol thing.
Yeah.
Where Muslims don't drink alcohol, and I remember we was dressed up in the traditional garb over there.
Yeah.
And we was about to go out to eat, and we just bought it, but we ran out of Hennessy, so we was in the city. We went down the street. It was right down the street from a local liquor store, but they're hidden, bro. Like
really?
They don't like market.
Wow.
Because most people can't buy it, but tourists can, right? Yeah. You got to have your passport. So we went in there, and before we could even pull out the passport, lady walked out and said, "No, we don't sell." I was like, no, American. Passport. She's like, oh, okay.
That's crazy.
Get whatever you want.
That's crazy.
But yeah, so they're very serious, but it's a beautiful place. It's on the up, bro. Like,
really?
Just economy-wise, money-wise, like, living-wise, culture-wise, like, Dubai is the spot, but, you can't bring a lot of your American ideologies over there. And what I mean is, like, the way we move, you got to move differently. There's no public display of affection over there, which, it's not a big thing to me. It's whatever. I don't think that's a big thing to fight over.
Yeah.
But there's opportunity. But there's also, like, the fact that you can't really buy land. Really? Unless you're like a native there, like they have a lot of people that come work there, but they can't own anything. So but I get that, like America bought up right now, right? Just, so I
went to Hawaii and like everything was owned by like everybody else.
Yeah.
And like all the people that lived in Hawaii, they just hated Americans because like they would buy like their reserves and their ponds and like their. And like I don't know, they just buy like the great places, and like someone would own it and just be selfish with it. And like no one can come here. If you want to come here, 3 people like every 3 hours. They'd be doing some crazy stuff. And it's just like, and the people that are native to Hawaii, they're like, man, like, they would be so upset from Americans because they'd come in and like, well, this is America. This is Hawaii's part of the United States, and like. Obviously it's really far away, but they'd be mad that we were buying up everything. So I agree with why Dubai is doing what they do, because here in America, here in Florida, like if I'm a native of Florida, I would want to be able to buy my own. I wouldn't want people from China and Mexico and everybody coming here and buying everything. I'm like, bro, like where do you even get this money? This is El Chapo's money.
Who are you buying this for?
Yeah,
yeah, bro. Like if you look at what's going on with Wyoming and. So some land over there, but there's a lot of other interests from other countries buying up America, bro, and it's crazy. I seen I don't know if this is true, but I seen an article the other day. What was the article or YouTube title? But China's building a spy base in Cuba.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't know if it's true or not. I didn't look at the video, but or if it was an article, I didn't read it. But it's interesting.
You saw the thing about the balloons?
Yeah.
What was that? Now there was like China balloons in like the United States or something. Like, what was that even about?
It was weird because like they detected them before it even hit United States.
Really?
But it floated all the way over here. China said, "Oh, Those are just I forgot what they said, but basically, those are not spy balloons. Those are just balloons that happen to fly all the way over here, right over your military bases. That's crazy. And then we waited hours before we even shot them down. I mean, they're literally right, and they did gather information.
Yeah.
So, man, the government, bro, there's some people in the government, I believe. I don't know if it's the government or people that runs the government that we don't know. Like people that's deep state, they call it, that's been in the government forever. They're in bed with China, bro, because they hated Trump, and Trump was taxing the mess out of China. Like, we finally was on the up the way Trump, his policies with China, and really calling them to hold to their standards, like, hold them to a standard, because they're stealing all of our products. They basically just copy it all. I mean, dude, like, they get tax incentives. We're importing more than we're exporting, like goods, right? So we're a buying country, which means it's crazy because we're in so much debt and we have so much stuff we can produce to sell, right? So yeah, we're this China thing, man, it's, I just imagine, bro, one day just looking up and just seeing Chinese airplanes, bro. Because, bro, I'm just like,
you that scared, bro?
Bro, I just be imagining, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, if I have, to me, I mean, I have 4 kids, so I fear for
that. Yeah, that makes sense.
And I'm like, all right, what do I want to do in that sense? But I just, if whatever happens, I still believe it's sovereignty of God, bro. Like, God allowed the Israelites to get raided by the Babylonians. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, I'm going to use this nation to discipline you. Yeah. There's a evangelist, and he was in Nigeria. Now he's in South Africa. I remember years ago, bro, he preached, America is going to fall.
Really?
Yeah, bro. I remember. I'll never forget that. I was like, why do you say that for, bro? I'm in America, dog. You love America, now you talking to... No, but he was just looking at the trend in the Bible of nations and history of nations rising and falling. And, you know, though we've been, they say our society is very close and imitates the Roman society. We're not lasting. It doesn't seem... I don't know if we're going to last as long as they did, you know, but... yeah, it doesn't look so good.
It doesn't look good
because, man, we're allowing all this stuff to be transmitted to China.
So I just like crazy. That's the thing, and it's like and it's just like the Bible. I feel like it tries to prevent it. You know, that's why Jesus says things like, you know, those who live like this will not inherit the kingdom of God. You know, he says things like that to kind of help us in a sense. It's like, hey, like, you want to live this way. But yet, if everybody lives this way, look how the world's going to go.
Right. I'm so glad you said that, because it goes back to what we started with when we talk about pride and homosexuality and all that. This battle that people are having, like in politics, when it comes to this stuff, is the wrong way to go about it. I think we should try to persuade people like this is the best way, but making laws doesn't change people's hearts. The Bible changes people's hearts. True, yeah. And so I do believe 100%, as you alluded to, you didn't say it directly, but you alluded to this. The Bible is the answer. Yeah. People, if you want true freedom, like you mentioned this earlier in the conversation, true freedom comes from holding to the truth, which people say, well, no, let's study and talk about it. Yeah. Because you probably got your opinion from some influencer. Yeah. You've probably never even read it yourself. So let's sit down and look at it. Let's look at those, what you think are contradictions. Let's talk about it. Right. Maybe I missed it. Maybe I missed something. I'm wrong. Yeah. But I'd love to sit down and, hey, show me. Yeah, show me. But if there's not, then now you have to come to a decision, because usually this is what it is. Now you have to come to the decision: do you want to follow it or not? Yeah, and that's usually what it is, to be honest.
So why do you think people fall away? You know, why people walk away from God? You know what I mean? Because you know you're making it seem, because you're making it seem as if like God is the answer. Like this is the way to go. All the world needs to follow this way. Yeah, you know what I mean. So why do people fall away? You know?
Yeah, that's a good question, because that's something I've experienced myself personally. Like, you get bitter. Suffering sucks. We suffer with or without God. We don't have to follow God to suffer. Yeah. But for me, let's say for my instance, I'm like, God, why are you allowing this suffering? Yeah. Why do you care about me? That's usually what it comes down to. Yeah. Oh, you don't care.
You don't care.
Bro, you don't care, bro. You allowing me to suffer, bro? Man, forget this, bro. I'm gonna do it my way.
You calling God, bro?
But that's I be talking to her like I'm not gonna. I mean, I don't. Out of respect, I fear God. Trust me. Anyway.
He said, bro. He get to heaven. What up, bro? Like,
what up, bro?
God's gonna be like, man, who this guy? Man?
Let me bow down before you, brother.
He's like, that guy. He's like the one that he said number 87,372,372,372. Zico Bellis.
Come forward. I got something for you, bro. Yeah, I think people walk away from God because it's hard.
Yeah,
life is hard, and it's easier to do it your way. Yeah, there may not be any progress doing it your way.
Yeah,
but it feels better at times to do it our own way. It's hard to love somebody and go through suffering and persevere through that to gain character. Only that character will get, like, it's hard to go through that transition that Romans 5 talks about, verses 3-5. Because suffering sucks, bro.
Yeah.
And it's easier to suffer when you can maybe take some alcohol, use alcohol or something.
Your gateway drugs.
Whatever it is, thing is that helps you feel better. It's easier to do it that way.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it God's way, bro. Suffer and still not be able to feel good. Forget that, bro.
And it's crazy too, because the Bible even says, like, you will suffer as a Christian.
Yeah.
It talks a lot about persecution. Mm-hmm. And, a lot of these things that people, a lot of people just feel like, oh, I'm a Christian, I'm going to be happy. Life is great. Like no. Yeah. Like you got it all wrong. You know what I mean? Like, look at the way Jesus lived. Look at the way his disciples lived. It was a tough life. Mm-hmm. Tougher, honestly, it's tougher to live as a Christian than it is not to.
Yeah.
And it's hard to say that as a Christian because, when you're, the thing is, when you're in the grace of God, you have lasting effects. It's almost like an insurance policy.
But why is it tougher to live as a Christian and not to?
I feel like it's tough to live as a Christian because you're an anomaly. Okay. You walk around a society, you go to the mall, you go to different things. You probably ask 1,000 people, hey, are you a Christian? You'll probably get a good percentage. But how many of them are actually living it the way that they should? So that's why I say I think it's harder to live as a Christian because, one, you're living you're an anomaly in a world of sin. So majority of your friends, your family, your coworkers, all of them are going to be living for themselves, desiring their flesh. For you, you're living to desire what pleases God. So it's just like if you're a fish in the water with a bunch of sharks, it's gonna be tough.
Bleeding a little bit.
Yeah, you're gonna be hit around. Frenzy. Yeah,
Let me ask you then.
Go ahead.
So it's harder.
James 1:2 talks about consider it a pure joy, when you face trials of many kinds. Right. So already a disciple or a quote unquote Christian, they're going in every situation, good or bad, with a good mindset and a good heart.
Right.
But the thing is, I think it goes back to living in that anomaly. Right. Jesus, everything he went through, his persecution, the Pharisees, everything like that. That's a lot he had to go through. Jesus could have simply been like, hey, you know what? I'm done with all this Christianity stuff. I'm going to just be a regular guy and, take up the crafts of his father. He would have had, I feel like he would have had a quote unquote more peaceful life. You know what I mean? He didn't have to deal with Caesar. He didn't have to deal with dying on the cross.
Right.
You know, the same way us today, we deal with those same things. Mm-hmm. You know, we have to deal with the internet. You know, we got to deal with pornography. We got to deal with people in our lives. We have to deal with bosses. We have to deal with our emotions. We have to deal with influence of society, influence of the world, influence of friends and family. You know, there's all these different things that we have to deal with to live as a true Christian. You know, like I feel like if you're a fake Christian, then it's probably easier being a Christian because you have the quote unquote faith and love of God. That's crazy. But you can quote unquote live and do whatever you want.
Exactly.
You can still have married, you can still live with somebody, you know, you can still do all these things. But if you're living as an actual Christian, I think.
And how do you do that?
Obeying the laws of God. Okay. You know, following the Bible completely as it is. Kind of like we said earlier, like, you know, Jesus was very black and white. You know, it's like, hey, this is what we do.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? He's very black and white. This is how we live. This is not how we live. Right. You know, and it's just like when people want to do both, when they want to live two lives, you know, they want to have the greatness of being a Christian and they want the greatness of living in the world. Right. It makes Christianity look quote unquote easy. I mean, because if you're a Christian, I'm a Christian, and we all Christians. Yeah. You know, if we're all Christians, then we can all. What we doing? Where's the moves? Where are we going? Right. You know, but somebody that you know is trying to live for God, they're not going to have that mentality. You know, they're going to be like, hey, like we can have fun, but we don't have to be drunk and do drugs, and you know, I can have a relationship with a woman, but I don't have to be with them inappropriately. I don't have to do all these things, which is going to take more self-denial. But that's why I said I look at Christianity, like if you want to look at it as an insurance policy, you can, because the outlook that Christianity gives you in the long term, you'll be better off than the person that lives in the world. Right. You know, but I feel like in the moment, living in the world, I mean, living as in the world can look better. You know what I mean? So I even like me, I look at it, it definitely feels better. You know, at times, you know, but for me, like, even for me, like as a younger person, like, you know, I tell them all the time, like, you know, you can look at Christianity and you can look at all the bad things, but I tell them like, yo, just look at the numbers. You know, look at the numbers. Like, I mean, like I say, you can even look at my life, look at the numbers. I'm like, I would not be in this situation today if it wasn't for God. Like, there's no way possible. Right. You know, and it's just like, you know, obviously everybody's story is different, but I'm like, even for me, like if I get in these situations where I get down and I get persecuted and I feel like, man, like, why am I doing this? I'm like, man, like, but look at the numbers. Look what God has done in my life. Like, where was I before God? Like, I was in like a sexual moral relationship, living in the hood, you know what I mean, struggling, living paycheck to paycheck, you know what I mean? And this like Christianity and living as a Christian, it takes discipline, you know what I mean? And when you're disciplined as a Christian, the world is easier to conquer. You know what I mean? Because your mindset is sharper. You know what I mean? So like, okay, if it's a Saturday night, they're going to the clubs. You know, I'm working on my craft. I'm making podcasts. You know, I'm influencing people. I'm doing all these different things. So I'm always going to have an edge, realistically, just because of my mindset. Not saying people in the world can't beat me or any Christian, but a disciplined Christian is better than an undisciplined worldly person. You know, so that's why I'm saying, like, I think, you know, living as short term can be more difficult than living as someone in the world. But the lasting consequences, man, like once you get like your age and it's just like you lived in the world, you have no family, no kids, STDs, bad credit.
Hold on, brother. And, how old are you, dog?
24, bro.
Come on, bro.
Come on, bro. You got at least 10 on me.
Come on, man.
You got at least 10 on me.
Come on, dog. My dog said, you know, he said it's slick too. You know, when you get to your age, you know.
Bro, you got at least 10 on me. At least 10. You got at least 10. How old are you,
bro? I thought Kevin did, what's his name, bad. Bro, you did that so, you know, when you get to your age.
This is when you get to your age.
Yeah, you know. Whatever. Anyway,
bro, you got at least you can see it, but
just because I got 10 on you, bro, you ain't gotta say it like that.
Yeah, but you got 10 on me, bro. All right, you got 10 on me. You got 10 on me. But think of this, right? All right, when we get older in life, you know, when you want to settle down, you know, you get a lot of hurt people, right? You know, because they want to do life their own way. You know, they have for sure they have addiction. It can be cigarettes. It can be alcoholism. It can be drugs. It can be sex. if you're not living with God by the time, you're around your age, debatable if it's young or old. I never said it was young or old, but you're going to have some type of addiction for one. Most people are going to have one addiction. The second thing is they're not going to have the greatest work ethic.
Right.
You're not going to have the greatest 100%. Morals.
Right.
You're just going to be a very broken person with trust issues. Yeah. You know what I mean? But as somebody that lives as a Christian with that early on discipline, once they get to your age, most likely they have good character. Most likely they're probably
Let's switch up how we say that. How about we say once we get, as you get older in life.
As you get older in life.
Let's not use me as an I just really feel attacked. I don't think this is a good example for everybody out here.
As you get older in life, the consequences of your sin, they kind of show its colors. Mm-hmm. But when you're starting off as a Christian, the consequence of not sinning is so prevalent because you're making such a drastic change that not a lot of people can do it.
Right.
So when people fall away, like you said, I just think it's easier to fall away than it is just to stay and fight.
Yeah, man.
So that's why I say,
100%.
That's basically for why I say I think it's harder to be a Christian than it is living in the world. Because if I was living in the world, man, I'd do whatever I want.
Right.
Man,
100%. Well,
I'd do whatever I want.
Brother.
I want to be here right now.
Well,
I would be...
whatever. What's tonight? Tuesday?
Yeah,
Wednesday? Thursday? Whatever night it is.
Yeah, whatever night it is.
Somewhere.
Yeah, I'll be somewhere.
Doing something.
Don't worry about what I'll be doing. But, so what's your take on... Since you said you kind of disagree. What's your take on... You think living as a Christian is easier than living as...
No. So my thing is, I do agree, but you explained it perfectly. But
yeah.
I'll just summarize what I think. I think it is because people will hate you. The world will hate you, right? Like people that don't know, like understand, they be like, well, why? Well, why do you sexuality is a sin? It's like, well, I don't think so. I just agree with the person who says it is, right? Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. I think that if you want to be a Christian, you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But if you just don't and you just want to live. Yeah. Right? So they're going to hate you. But that threw me off a little bit. But yeah. Anyway, it's literally the drastic decisions that we make as a Christian, as a disciple, changes your life so much that though there is persecution, though people do hate you, the long-lasting effects, even that surpass this life, greatly outweighs. You'll experience some in this life.
Yeah.
But you'll experience like the maximum best benefit of being a Christian after.
Yeah,
and that's why I was like,
it's
not that beat.
Yeah, so you were looking at the long term, where I'm looking at the current.
Yeah. That's 100% right.
Season 2, episode 1, King of the Hill podcast. If you're listening for the first time, season 2, we're going to have more episodes, more guests, more discussions, more debates. This is Zico on the Wizard King podcast. Check out all his social media. He has a fitness channel, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Check this guy out, guys. Thank you guys for listening, and stay tuned to the next video. Peace.
Peace.